we're told that we're dealing with a perfectly competitive market for titanium, and we're given some cost curves to begin with. From that point, we are asked to plot the initial short-run industry supply curve for 20 firms, then 30 firms, and 40 firms. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to go to the point where marginal cost is greater than average variable cost. So we're going to go right here to this intersection. And that's where we're going to derive our first point. So we can see this is 15 and 1.5. To get our quantity, we're going to take the quantity 15 times 20 firms. So 15 times 20 would give us 300. So the first point we're going to plot is going to be 1.5, 300, which I have plotted down here. Then we'll go ahead and go up. At this point we have a quantity of 20. If we take that quantity of 20 times the number of firms, which is also 20, we would get 400. So our second point would be 2.5, 400, which I have plotted here. Continuing on with this point, the quantity is 25. We take 25 times the number of firms, which is 20, and we'll get 500. So our next point will be 4 and 500, which is plotted there. And then to get this point and this point, you would continue on working your way up the marginal cost curve using that same logic. To do 30 firms, you're going to do the same process, and you will plot this purple line doing that. And then they also ask us to do the supply when there are 40 firms in the industry. So to get that initial point, again, you're going to start here where marginal cost just intersects average variable cost. To get the quantity figure, you would take 15 times 40, because there are now 40 firms, and we would get a quantity of 600. So this is going to be 600, 1.5. The next point is 20. If we take that 20 times the number of firms in the industry, we'd have 20 times 40, and we would get 800. So our next point that we would plot would be 2.5, 800. For our third point, we have a quantity of 25. If we take that 25 times 40 40 firms, we're going to have 25 times 40, or 1,000 for our quantity, and the price would be $4. And then we would continue on in the same manner to get this point and this point. So now that you have this demand curve, or I beg your pardon, supply curve graphed for when there are 40 firms in the industry, we can answer the following questions. If there were 40 firms in this market, the short-run equilibrium price of titanium would be $4 per pound. And the way you get that is go to where supply intersects demand, and that is at the $4 mark. At that price, firms in this industry would be operating in a loss. And we know that because if we go up here to where marginal cost intersects average total cost, we can see that firms in this industry are breaking even at $6. So anything below that would be a loss. So they're definitely operating at a loss. Therefore, in the long run, firms would exit the titanium market. Anytime in a perfect competition situation, firms are operating at a loss, you should see that firms will exit the market. Okay, the second part, because you know that perfectly competitive firms earn zero profit in the long run, and that is zero comes from basic definition. You know the long run equilibrium price must be, again, it's $6 per pound. And the way we came up with that was coming up here again and looking at the industry where average total cost intersects marginal cost, and that is at $6. Per pound. From the graph, you can see that this means that there will be 20 firms operating in the titanium industry in the long run equilibrium. And if we look at the $6 price where it intersects the demand curve, we can see that we are operating along a supply curve that we initially plotted for 20 firms. So I hope this helps clarify this question for you, and I'll talk to you later.